pedals, droppers, warranty and rims.
It can only be one thing, and that's the Ask EMBN show.
Top secrets, clipless or flat pedals?
Is it
Listen,
more of
you go first.
More of a personal opinion, or what is best? You know, personally, I just use flat pedals for 95% of my riding. Occasionally I'll stick a set of clips on if I'm riding a long distance or more cross country, just pure cross country miles. You know.
Topsy, I think it depends on the type of terrain you ride. Also, I think the climate comes into it as well, because we tend to slide around a lot in the northern hemisphere, especially between October and April. And I've been riding flat pedals for a long time. However, last February we went to France and rode with double world downhill champion Fabien Barel, and I was convinced that flat pedals were the best thing for e-bikes until I went riding with Fabien, and he went up the most ridiculous climbs with clipped in pedals, and I can see that is that split second where you can get that little bit more out of the motor. I think it's possible to do slightly more technical things on clips. But
I'd agree, but I think you definitely need to be that higher skilled level rider. You know, Fabian's obviously a high level professional. I think as a beginner, if you're starting out with an e-bike, I'd probably err towards flats. I mean, you can get away from it, you can stick a foot down. I think to be a good clipped in rider, you really need to be quite a high level of riding. Yeah, I think especially on an e-bike.
Interesting. But you know, another thing, it's a big topic actually, because I was speaking to the Don's our colleague on GMBN, and I've been getting quite a lot of tension in my hamstrings, and apparently if you ride flats a lot of the time, and we do ride flats a lot of the time, you do tend to cramp up there a little bit, so I got to constantly stretch out my hamstrings if you're riding flat pedals.
I don't think it's quite as such a big thing on an e-bike as it is on a normal trail bike. A lot of people ride clipped in purely for keeping that cadence nice and smooth and the power output, but I think on the e-bike, obviously with the motor, I don't think it's such an essential bit of kit in my
Chris, we could go round in circles all day. In the meantime, Chris, Andy Sintes is asking, hi guys, what is the height difference between a 27.5 plus 2.8 tyre and 29 by 2.35 tyre? Not much maybe, so rollover would be very similar but would have better sidewall stability on the 29. Now that really depends ultimately on what tyre you're using, whether you're using a downhill casing tyre or a cross-country casing tyre. So, you know, what weight there, you could be having a 1.5 kilo tyre versus an 800 gram tyre.
Yep.
Ultimately, the rollover on both tyres is actually pretty good, but I think you might find that if you're in really worn out trail centre terrain where a lot of the finer material has been washed out, then that big 27.5 2.8 tyre actually goes over the square edges a little bit easier than a lower profile 29 tyre. Yeah. At the same time, a 29 inch tyre in the mud and slippery conditions is absolutely incredible. What are your thoughts, Chris?
I think the sidewall stability definitely on the bigger plus tyres is something I notice a lot more, especially on the softer tyre pressures, you know, kind of like the more recommended low tyre pressures. You get a lot more flex in those sidewalls. I think with the 29, obviously a skinnier tyre to start with, less tall, isn't as prone to tyre flex in the berms. So
at the same time, I just want to add to this is that on the rear of an e-bike, it's really good to have a 27.5 2.8 tyre.
Yeah.
Unless of course you've got a really good angular 29 tyre. But if you want to see more about e-bike tyres, then I've done a pretty in-depth video about just that topic. More torque, increased use and heavier weights mean that we need more stability, more durability, puncture protection and of course grip on our e-bike tyres. But how on earth do you choose what type of tyre to get? This is our fundamentals into tyre choice. We're going to cover everything from width, tyre compound, tread pattern, weight and much, much more.
Do you have any suggestions for a good quality, not superbike quality, dual suspension e-bike for my wife? She's only 146 centimetres tall and currently rides a Merida Juliet 7.100, an extra small size, even though that is a bit big for her. Any ideas would be appreciated. Yeah,
hi Connor. I think good quality and superbike quality is probably different when you measure e-bikes to when you measure like classic mountain bikes, because performance is measured in such things as range, reliability, rather than like saving a couple of 100 grams here and there or having carbon fibre. But yeah, wow. So that height, 146 centimeters. Now I do know someone who's that very same height and rides a small Specialized Levo, so I think she wouldn't have a problem with that. However, I'd say that in terms of what bikes are available now, Canyon do a really good women specific e-bike, the Spectralon. They also do non-women specific if your wife might prefer a standard all-round bike, because my wife rides that as well. Vitus do a really good bike at just over £3,000. So there's quite a few bikes out there. Cube do them. I think the lower end Specialized.
Yeah, high bikes.
High bikes have got a massive range of e-bikes. Just go for the size small or extra small. And I think for the reach, you should be looking. Look at the reach numbers on these bikes down around. I'm thinking about like 420mm on the reach.
Yeah, a lot of these manufacturers on their websites will actually have a geometry part of the website where you can look and actually measure those sort of seat tubes. The main thing is when you're measuring a bike is going to be that seat tube height and the reach as well. So just have a look at those figures and just make sure they all look
I also think, Connor, maybe you go into your bike shop and get on a size small or extra small bike and get the people in the shop to roll the bars back, put the seat forward so you can get a better idea on just how the fit is on that e-bike. And remember, fit is something you can change on a bike.
Okay, so we've got this one in from Alex Kirkin. Ask EMBN, how did you film The Rock? Did you have to take a few passes to get different angles? Did you break it down into sections to take shots from above and follow in versus regular camera shots?
We can't give information like that away.
Super interesting to learn about your process.
Can't give information like that away.
So those videos are pretty hard to make. Me and Steve might do multiple shots on things, multiple takes.
So you are going to give away the information.
Yeah, especially when you make a mistake and slide off and slip a pedal.
Right, but there was no sliding off in the making of the Rock. If we got it wrong in the Rock, we pretty much should be game over. So we had to get it right, basically.
Definitely, yeah. We had a separate drone operator, cameraman, for gimbals, as I say, multiple shoots and. Not attempts, but shots, basically.
Plus, the other thing is you have to deal with the banter between everyone on the group.
That's a big part. You enjoy that, all right?
Right. Have a check out the Rock video down here. It was a great day out.
The Rock, a real mountain rock face challenge. Whoa! And the exposure to my left is insane. Oh!
This is from Kleber Tonus or Tonus Kleber. Sorry, apologies for that. Have you guys experienced the app Blevo? Besides managing the level of support according to its cardiovascular and muscular fitness, it manages in 3 dynamic levels, generating a pedaling closer to that of a muscular bike and consuming much less battery. It has a completissimo and customizable panel. It generates statistics of everything and exports the routes to the Strava top. You should try. Whoa! Cardiovascular and muscular fitness. Chris, that's your completissimo. That's your department.
Definitely sounds just.
I've not tried the app Blevo. Yeah. However, I do know that Chris Smith has.
Yeah, I do use Blevo now and again on my Kenevo. It's a pretty good app and you can adjust that all the way down, but it's pretty similar to the Mission Control app. It's obviously quite easy where if you want to de-restrict that bike, you can just swipe it and totally change that.
But why would you de-restrict your bike?
If you wanted to ride maybe some big jumps, limited run-ups, things like that, or if you were just riding on private land on flat
and
tracks.
How does that affect the warranty on your Kenevo?
Oh, I believe it invalidates the warranty, but I'm not 100% clear on that. But it's up to you, you guys, if you want to run that stuff.
I'd rather keep my Kenevo.
App, but yeah.
Moving on to Sarah Dobb. Sarah Dobb, hi, I have only been mountain biking for 4 weeks and had my first crash nearly 3 weeks ago, and I'm now nursing a chipped bone in my elbow. Do you have any recovery suggestions?
Elbows, yeah. I've broke the radial head off my elbow, so one of the big bones in the radius, so that's floated around. I had that screwed back on. Probably one of the nastiest crashes the worst injuries I've had is because the elbow isn't just a bending joint, it actually is rotational as well. So when you spin that, it actually spins around. It's a really hard one to get moving again. Best advice for me was to actually go swimming. So you've got non-weight bearing and a lot of just resistance training with that.
What about physio stretch bands?
Yeah, physio stretch bands and swimming. That's the best way to get around any sort of elbow.
Not e-biking, no.
Maybe gentle e-biking, right?
E-biking. Okay, this from Flu Flow. Flu. Hi guys, great show. Thank you very much. What do you think about the Specialized Roval rims? I got a Canevo and did damage both of them many times.
Tim.
Which kind of rims are better for rocky trails? I live in North Garda Lake, you know the area, and the rocks there. Garda, that's a pretty brutal place for rims. Now, in a way, you almost... rims and wheels, you almost need to have them custom built depending on where you ride and your weight and your riding style. But yeah, you're right, Garda. What's that crazy one on the east side of the lake? It's absolutely mental.
Swollen, no.
I don't know what it's called, but it's brutal on bikes. When it comes to Roval, are you talking carbon fibre or are you talking alloy on those rims? If you get back to us on that, we can answer you. But I think on e-bikes, we tend to ride mostly on alloy rims because of the slightly heavier weight that Chris is carrying about with him. And but like loads of companies do them. Obviously, like I say, Roval do good wheels. DT Swiss have a great range. Yeah. Mavic stands. But how about checking out the 24-hole Specialized Roval wheel? That could be a good option for you to get more sort of flex in the front. So it's a far softer ride amongst those brutal limestone Garda rocks.
So you got this one in from Ian Webster.
The Weber.
Ask EMBN. I'm looking at a 2019 Levo FSR in aluminium, but I've seen it offer on a 2018 Levo Comp Carbon for the same price. Which should I go for?
Nice choice to have. I think we can remember, Ian, is that the 2018 is 135mm travel, whereas the 2019 is 150.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know about the 2019's got 29-inch wheels, 2018 27.5.
Battery size, what are we talking on? Both the same battery size?
Battery size, yeah. Obviously, you've got 700 watt hour on the new Specialized bikes. But I think what's quite critical here is that it depends how tall you are. I think if you're a taller rider, the new Levos are slightly bigger in range. So you probably get a bike that fits you better if you're like over 6 foot. When it comes to alloy versus carbon, I wouldn't worry too much about that because the performance on an e-bike, maybe you should be going for the bigger battery rather than a carbon fibre. But I think about sizing before anything first and foremost. We've actually done a video on the new Levo.
Yeah,
check it out. Yeah,
good one.
And finally, it's Tommy Boy. If I wouldn't ride the bike during the winter, what is recommended? Fully charge the battery to 100% or just leave it at around 40%? And would be best to unplug the battery or leave it plugged into the bike?
I think your answer for that one is best to leave it between 60 to 70% charge. Just try and bring it inside if possible. Batteries don't like extreme temperatures, especially the cold or extreme heat. Bring it inside somewhere nice, cool. They're quite like us, a battery. They like a nice temperature around 20 degrees Celsius is really good temperature to keep them at. When it comes to leaving it plugged in, it's not a good idea because that battery charger could malfunction or overheat. It's not a good idea. Real nice tip for charging them is to actually buy a wall timer, so you can plug that into a socket, leave it to charge for 4 or 5 hours, and that will turn off if you are going to leave it plugged in. But best to remove it, bring it inside the house, nice and safe.
Wow, wise words from Christopher Smith. So that's it, guys. Thanks so much for sending your questions, and we really look forward every week to answering or attempting to answer some of the questions you send in. Now, remember, it's a two-way thing, so if you think you can add to the conversation, please do leave your comments just down below. In the meantime, if you want to be inspired, check out this video with double world downhill champion Fabien Borel, which he's riding clips and I'm riding flats down in south of France. Absolutely awesome.
And one of the questions in this week's show was about the rock. Be sure to check that one out if you haven't had a chance to see that. A real epic climb that me and Steve did up in the middle of North Wales. Really cool one. Don't forget to
you can like and you can subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe. Don't forget, if you've got any questions, hashtag ask EMBN. Drop them in the comments. We'll get back to you on next week's show.